What it is, what is up, welcome back to my channel. It's a wrap, aka Yudi here, and I am very excited to be here with you all today to share my first haul of 2024. And as always, or as it's been on my channel, it's all from Black authors. A lot of classics, some new works, and I'm not gonna waste any time. Let's just get right into it. Okay, y'all, so this is a collection of books from like December up until February. So first of all, this is a lot of books to like accumulate in like 2 months. I went to like a book like drive secondhand thing, and then I went to a secondhand bookstore. So I got a lot of these books, and I think the most I spent in this haul is maybe 30 bucks. And yeah, we're just going to get into it once I get into this haul. But I'm going to preface this and say that it is a lot of books. And I don't actually remember this, like what all these books are about. So I'm just going to go and read the back cover of all these books. But the first book I got, I went to Chicago in December because I have family in Chicago. And I went to Semicolon, which is a Black-owned bookstore. And my little memorabilia, or the book that I picked up while I was there, was Plantains in Our Becoming by Melania Luisa Marte. Okay, and this is a collection of short stories that touch on an array of topics and stories from the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and it talks about the Black diaspora. Did I say this was a collection of short stories and poems? It's a collection of short stories and poems that discuss the Black diasporic experience amongst the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So very excited to read this. Black people of the Caribbean, Black people of Latin America, you have to really make a concerted effort to find writing in their stories. So I'm very excited to read this. So that's my first book. My next set of books, I went to a book drive. There's a book, is it a book drive? But there is this place in Baltimore. It's called Book Thing. Once a month, they open up and you're allowed to like go in for like an hour and pick up a whole bunch of books. And yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to get my eyebrow. But anyway, first book I picked up was Loose Lips. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, this one has a very questionable summary by Teresa McLean Watson. And I will preface this and say that this book came out in 2003. So there's this character, her name is Josephine or Josie, and she is a journalist. And there's this guy, his name is Benjamin Braddock, and he is a judge, I believe. Yep, criminal court judge. He's a criminal court judge, and she's very liberal-minded. He's very conservative, but I guess he's good looking. And he's running for office. But then as he's running for office, a bunch of women come forward saying that he has sexually assaulted or harassed them. And yeah, somehow, I guess maybe she's covering his case or something like that. But anyway, somehow she's trying to figure out whether or not these women are lying or not. Let me read the last part. But when the judge sets his sights on political office, a slew of seemingly respectable women come out of the woodwork to accuse him of sexual harassment. Ben insists on his innocence, yet refuses to offer evidence against what he believes are decent but misguided sisters. Josie's devoted her life to following facts, but can she learn to follow her heart? And can she do it before a shining career and a begorging love are destroyed? It's the sexual harassment piece and the whole like, oh, these well-intentioned sisters. I'm just all like, is this about to be a case of The List? And I feel like The List, because it's written in the year of 2023 or 2022, whenever it was written, it's not going to be as bad as this one, because our politics, especially on like harassment and assault in the early 2000s, was horrendous. So I'm not sure if this is gonna hold up, but I picked up the book. I'll let you know how this goes. Not another one, but this is one of many that I'm excited about. And let me handle this book with care. This is a book from Tony Bambara, who I don't own any books by Tony Bambara. But yeah, I picked up Gorilla My Love. You can tell it's old. This had to have come out in like the 80s or the 90s. When did this book come out? Oh, I'm lying. It came out in 1972. But what print do I have? 1981. This came out in 1972. Yep, I have a 1981 version. No writer anywhere understands, controls, and expresses better than Tony. Is it Cade or Cade? Cade Bambara. The Black style, a style at once ineffable and immediately recognizable. And these 15 superb stories, her touch is so sure, her ear so keen. We are turned up on and inside out as we move from uptown New York to small town North Carolina, from sassy black girls to cunning old men, from basement to FAO Schwartz. Sharing the world of what she calls her straight up fiction is a stunning experience. So yeah, these are a collection of short stories. So I'm very excited to read this. Another one that I'm very excited that I got Bell Hooks' Feminism is for Everybody. And this is like what, an essay? They're like essays. I mean, do I have to tell you what feminism is for everybody is about? Bell Hooks is a well-known Black feminist. Most people know her for All About Love. I do not own, I mean, now I do. Now I own Feminism is for Everybody. But I was very excited to, y'all can see the cover. I was very excited to see this book. I already own, I own Sister of the Yam, All About Love. I own one more. I can't remember what it is. I know I own 3. I just can't remember what the third one is. So I'm glad to add this to that pile of Bell Hooks books that I own. The next book that I picked up at this particular drive is What We Lose. And it's by Zinzi Clemens. And this one is, I'm excited for. I'm going to read the inside jacket, but this is, I believe it's between the UK and South Africa. But let me read the jacket. It says, raised in Pennsylvania, Thandi views the world of her mother's childhood in Johannesburg as both impossibly distant and ever present. She's an outsider wherever she goes, caught between being Black and white, American and not. She tries to connect these dislocated pieces of her life, and as her mother succumbs to cancer, Thandi serves for an anchor, someone or something to love. We watch Thandi's life unfold from losing her mother and learning to live without the person who has most profoundly shaped her existence to her own encounters with romance and unexpected motherhood. Through exquisite and emotional vignettes, Clemens creates a stunning portrayal of what it means to choose to live after loss. Elegiac desolation, a once intellectual and visceral, of a young woman's understanding of absence and identity that spans continents and decades. What We Lose heralds the arrival of virtuistic, arresting new voice in fiction. I'll let y'all know how this goes. I got so many Terry McMillan books in this haul. Do y'all not like Terry McMillan? Or first book I got was The Interruption of Everything. I have never read a Terry McMillan book before, ever. So, yeah. And I've actually never heard of this one. When did this one come out? It probably came out in the 2005. Yes. So I have never read this, but let me read the cover jacket. I don't even know what it's about. I just saw Terry McMillan. I picked it up. With The Interruption of Everything, her 6th novel, McMillan takes on the fault lines of midlife and family life, reminds us once again of the redeeming power of friendship, and turns her eye towards the dilemma of how a woman starts to put her own needs higher on the to-do list while not shortchanging everyone else. Marlon Grimes, wife and mother of 3, has made a career of deferring her dreams to build a suburban California home and lifestyle with her husband, Leon. She troubleshoots for her grown kids, cares for her live-in mother-in-law, Arthurine, and an elderly poodle, Snuffy, keeps tabs on her girlfriends, Paulette and Bunny, and her own aging mother and foster sister, all the while holding down a part-time job. But at 44, Marilyn's got too much on her plate and nothing to feed her passion. She feels like she's about to jump. She's just not sure where. Gonna read this one. I'm gonna let y'all know how this goes. On to the next one. This one, I saw it. I've already read this book. I read this book when I was too young. I had no business reading this book. But this book is all like, whoever had this book loved it. They loved it. They loved it hard. And now I have it. And I'm going to love it for a little bit and maybe let it go. But Mina's Joint by Keisha Everin. Y'all really need to see it. But I've already read this book. I read this book forever ago. When did this book come out? Like 05, 04. Yeah, I read this book like forever ago. And it probably doesn't even read as good. This is definitely going to be one of those. I had one video that I plan to put into this series of me rereading urban fiction. And maybe this will go into that rereading of urban fiction. I don't even know if I really enjoyed it. I think it was just like the messiness of it all. I ate it up. Whether or not these were actually like sound as characters, we'll see once I read the book. I'm gonna reread this, y'all. There's gonna be a video on this. It's gonna go into my rereading of urban fic series. I have another Terry McMillan, and this one is the sequel to Waiting to Exhale, and this is Terry McMillan's Getting to Happy. There were so many Terry McMillan books there, and I'm like, it's because y'all actually really like Terry McMillan? We gonna see. So yes, I got Getting to Happy. I've never even read Waiting to Exhale, and maybe I should read it. I shouldn't just go off based. I've seen the movie multiple times. I've just never read the book. So maybe I should get Waiting to Exhale before I try to get into Getting Too Happy. From this particular haul is Gotta Keep On Trying. I just picked this up. I have no clue what this book is about. So we about to find out together what this book is about. So let me get into what this one is about. Oh, this one is by Virginia DeBerry and Donna Grant. When did this come out? I should also tell y'all when it came out. This book came out in 2008. So this book is lifelong best friends Gail and Patricia are running a successful doll company they've built from scratch. But as their business has flourished in the last 5 years, their personal lives have paid the price. Pat adores her husband Marcus, a former professional athlete, but they struggle to make time for each other, let alone the possibility of starting a family. When a teenager shows up unexpectedly on their doorsteps claiming to be Marcus's daughter, the challenge they face tests their marriage to the limit. Gail has never really gotten over the gambling ex-husband who left her in financial ruin. Now, their angry, rebellious daughter Vanessa is growing distant, and when she begins to replace her love of dance with the love of a man she hardly knows, Gail worries that she's losing all control. Gail and Pat have always had each other, but the bonds of their friendship are straining under pressure. Can the little company they poured their hearts into survive if everything else falls apart? So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I'm not in a rush to read this one, but I own it. I'm gonna let y'all know how this goes because I still have more books. I'm sorry, y'all. The next thing, so I drove down to Rockville, which is close to DC. And I went to this place called Secondhand Books. I never knew this place was there. I don't know how long it's been there, or maybe I don't know how long it's been open to the public because supposedly they've had multiple locations. But I used to live like in that area. So I was just like, oh, I never knew this was here. So anyway, I went there and I got that one. Those books were not free. I had to pay for them, but they were cheap. They're like $1, $2. If you go, you can get them online, but if you go into the warehouse, you can get those books 50% off of the original, of like the already, secondhand price. So I got them for like $2, $3, these books. I think I spent like $20 altogether for everything I'm about to show you. Okay. The first book I got was by Chinua Achebe. If y'all can see. I got Things Fall Apart. And you can tell this is the older book because I think the cover is now red. The current cover is red and doesn't have any like characters on it. But this is giving like 1980s realness, 1970s or 80s realness. I'm gonna have to see when this cover was published. But yes. So every time I go in the store, I'm all like, let me buy Things Fall Apart. And if you don't know, Things Fall Apart is like a series, but it's like the story of someone who's going to be a slave, but it's about a character like trying to fight colonialism and slavery that's coming into, I guess, then Nigeria. Let me read it. So, first published in England in 1958, Things Fall Apart is Chinua Achebe's first most famous novel, a classic of modern African writing. It is a story of a strong man whose life is dominated by fear and anger, a powerful and moving narrative critics have compared with classic Greek tragedy. Written with remarkable economy and subtle irony, it is uniquely and richly African, and at the same time reveals Achebe's keen awareness of the human qualities common to men of all times and places. Things Fall Apart is no less successful as a social document dramatizing traditional Igbo life in its first encounter with colonialism and Christianity at the turn of the century. Set in the Igbo village in Nigeria, the novel vividly recreates pre-Christian tribal life and shows how the coming of the white man led to the breaking up of old ways. Again, if you didn't know, this is a series. So this is the first book in the series, and I'm very curious when this particular version was published, because this book came out in 1958. What version am I looking at? Yeah, either way, I'm excited to read it. And it's, I think for a paperback, apart from like the browning, because it's so old, it's in really solid condition. Like, apart from the browning pages, that's pretty much the only issue. This one is, I have to pick up in the stack because I picked up a couple. These are all Gloria Naylor books. I went in and I saw a whole bunch of Gloria Naylor. The one that really like pulled me out, I was like, oh, I've always wanted this book, is Gloria Naylor's Mama Day. There we go, Gloria Naylor's Mama Day. And I'm just gonna read the back. This came out in 1988. But this is a timeless yet indelibly authentic Gloria Naylor Mama Day is set on the Georgia Sea island of Willow Springs, where people still use only herbal medicine and honor ancestors who come over as slaves. On Willow Spring lives Mama Day, a matriarch who can call up lightning storms and see secrets in her dreams. But all of Mama Day's powers are tested when her great niece, a stubbornly emancipated woman, finds her life and soul in danger from the island's darker forces. Mama Day is a powerful generational saga, at once tender and suspenseful, overflowing with magic and common sense. The next book I picked up that was also by Gloria Naylor was The Men of Brewster Place. First of all, let me say that she also wrote The Woman of Brewster Place, and this is The Men of Brewster Place, not the woman. I don't think I saw the woman one there. But yeah, I think that's her first novel. But let me read what The Men of. Her exploration of the life and times of a small urban enclave. Now Miss Naylor has returned her attention to the other side of the story, to the men of Brewster Place. In this remarkable new work, Gloria Naylor brings her voice to life with her characteristic grace, humor, and compassion, among others you will meet. And then they list all the male characters you'll meet in this book. Okay, the third Gloria Naylor book I picked up that I saw was Linden Hills. You can tell this one's older too. I don't know why, I love this cover. As one observer points out, Linden Hills isn't black, it's successful. It has taken 150 years for its residents to become upper and middle class, and they will not readily yield what they have struggled to gain. The chance to move down the hill from First Crescent Drive towards the swankier 8th Crescent on Tupelo Drive. The baron of this fiefdom, Luther needed, is a devil of a man whose great-great-grandfather bought his light-skinned child bride north in 1837. It is no coincidence that Luther is also the reigning mortician. He literally controls his vassals from the womb to the tomb. To earn Christmas money, Lester Tilson and Willie Mason, a pair of hip, later-day poets, work their way down through Linden Hills, experiencing firsthand the lust and pain, the hypocrisy and velour of their hell-bound neighbors. Ultimately, they are led to the moated redoubt of this satanic master, where a veritable lake of fire awaits them. There is an astonishing surge of sustained energy here, one which will establish Gloria Naylor's place at the forefront of contemporary American novelists. So yeah, Linden Hills. You know what's so interesting? This is like the third, once I read this is the third novel that I own that's by like a black author that talks about a black community that lives on a hill. I'm currently reading the Heaven and Earth grocery store, and I just finished Sula. Sula, you know, the bottom is on a hill. I'm in the beginnings of the Heaven and Earth grocery store, but the neighborhood that they're looking at is also on a hill. And Linden Hills, this is on top of a hill. So interesting motif. I'm going to have to look more into why that is. And then the last Gloria Naylor, I saw all the Gloria Naylor and I picked it up, is Bailey's Cafe. Y'all, will it concentrate? Yeah, this also came out in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. 1992. Okay, I was just a little off. But there is Sadie, whose addiction to alcohol is second only to her mania for cleanliness, and the oddly maternal Eve, whose bordello accepts only fresh flowers as legal tender. Sweet Esther, who takes nothing but white roses for her very particular favors. And Peaches, whose badly mutilated face is in sharp contrast to her goddess body. Jessie Bell, for whom the love of a woman cannot overcome her lust for heroin. Miss Maple, a transvestite who makes a handsome living by entering soap flake contests. And Miriam, the Ethiopian child who may be the bearer of a miracle. One will call them misfits, all but in the magical aura of Bailey's Cafe. As the new year approaches, each becomes a universal creature of biblical stature. Magic, two touches every line of each one's story. For this, we have only the consummate skill of Gloria Naylor to thank. Okay, and that was all the Gloria Naylor. I think that's where I went kind of insane when I was in the bookstore. I got one more Terry McMillan, y'all. Y'all either don't like Terry McMillan or Terry McMillan was that girl. I'm gonna go with Terry McMillan was that girl. Yeah, they're just donating. Like, everybody owned a Terry McMillan, and now they're older. They're just giving the Terry McMillan books up. But I'm not mad. So I got Terry McMillan's A Day Late and $1 Short. And this one covers the family. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I'm kind of familiar with this story. This one, I think, covers a family. And it's like the matriarch of the family, like, she tired. And it like covers her husband, who, like, I guess he a good for nothing. I don't know. But anyway, her husband, she got, I think, two daughters and a son. But yeah, like, it covers a whole family, if I'm not mistaken. I know, it doesn't end. I think there's only one more book and then we're done. The next book I have is Opal and Nev. Someone's book of the month. Opal and Nev, The Final Revival. I have never read this book. I mean, as you can tell, I own it now. I don't know if I'll ever read it, but everybody that's read it has said it's really good. And it reads almost like a true story. And yeah, like, you read it and you're like, did this really happen? Like, that's what I get. So I'm gonna read it. I'm excited to own it. Yep, this is the last book. The last book I have, I got from the publisher, which this is not common. I don't usually get books from publishers. I don't. I'm small. I just started. Thank you to the publishers for sending me a copy of this book. The Blueprint by Ray Gianna Rashad. And this is a really interesting one. Isn't the cover pretty? But this, The Blueprint is a story. I don't want to fuck it up, so let me just read it. Celine Bonnet lives in Texas, where choice no longer exists. An algorithm determines a Black woman's occupation, spouse, and residence. Celine takes solace in penning the biography of Henriette, an ancestor who's been an enslaved concubine to a wealthy planter in 1800s Louisiana. But history repeats itself when Celine, lonely and naive, becomes entangled with Bastien Martin, a high-ranking government official. Celine finds the psychological bond unbearable, so she considers alternatives. With Henriette as her guide, she must decide whether and how to leave behind all she knows. Inspired by the lives of enslaved concubines to United States politicians and planters, The Blueprint unfolds over dual timelines to explore bodily autonomy, hypocrisy, and power imbalances through the lens of the nation's most unprotected, a Black female. So yeah, this is probably going to be my one and only haul of 2024. There's some other books I bought last year, but you probably won't see them in the haul because I buy books so sparingly. And 9 times out of 10, when I buy the book, I've already read it and reviewed it. I got it from like the library, read it on my Kindle, and I enjoyed it so much I decided to buy it. So until the next time, guys, let me know some books that you've bought recently that you really enjoyed or you're excited to start reading, and continue our conversation in the comments. Until the next time, y'all, deuces.